change has no stop button. The pause button doesn't work and it doesn't exist. The rewind button doesn't undo our past. And the forward button, why would anyone want to speed up change? But there is one button that works. We have the power to press play and make change work for us. When I was in the 5th grade, I made a decision that changed the course of my life. My teacher announced that day that our assignment was to share with the rest of the class what we wanted to be when we grew up. So as it got to be my turn, I slid out from under my desk and I stood up and I said, I want to be a dentist. Now, I have absolutely no idea why I said that. And to this day, I still don't know why. But I did stick with that choice. And through high school, college, eventual dental school, a hospital residency, the public health service, I indeed did become a dentist. And in the summer of 1980, I opened the doors to my private practice. And for the next several years, I worked really hard at building and growing that practice until it was a prominent practice in the community. It was a prominent business in the community. But 34 years after I told the class that I wanted to be a dentist, I gave it up. I walked away. Now, I can see some of the expressions on your face wondering, why would anyone do such a thing? Well, I loved everything about dentistry, but doing the dentistry. Little problem there. The world changed a great deal from the time that I was in the 5th grade. My profession changed from the time I graduated dental school, and I also changed. Since the time that I left, I've been studying change and how and why people make decisions the way they do. I've written about it quite a bit, and I've consulted about it as well. And what I discovered over the years is that change and I have become intimate dance partners throughout my life. But change had been leading me the whole time, right up until that day that I decided to press play and make change work for me. Now, is there anybody here that was in a similar position, that you worked really hard to achieve something, but then your circumstances changed or you changed and you walked away? So a few of you may be thinking about doing something right now like that. Maybe it's a new job, a new career, starting a new business, maybe retirement. We want change to be simple and predictable. We make decisions and we expect certain things to happen. But life is just full of surprises and unintended consequences. It turns out that life is the ultimate channel surfer. It keeps clicking away, changing things over and over again, and just expects us to follow it wherever it goes. Well, about 25 years ago, the US military found that the world was changing much faster than ever, and its strategies weren't working anymore, so it needed a new game plan. So it came up with an acronym called VUCA, V-U-C-A. And it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. I feel that VUCA is a brilliant assessment of how unpredictable and complex and fragile and sometimes even chaotic the world can feel at times. But apparently I'm not alone, because many businesses and other organizations have adopted VUCA as their game plan to help them address and prepare for what has become a new normal. But just look at those words: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Hardly a vocabulary that inspires you to ask it out on a date or motivates you to follow it wherever it decides to take you. So I came up with an alternative version that I hope will empower you to not only accept change, but to take the initiative to make it work for you. So in my version, the V stands for vision. Without vision, we live in the dark. We roam around in the dark, and the dark can be scary. Vision requires that we open our eyes and focus. And when we focus, we can find meaning and purpose in everything that we do. Now, a vision doesn't have to be some grand plan. It doesn't have to be a plan to fix the world, eradicate illiteracy, eliminate poverty, but it could be. But for most people, it could be as simple as wanting to improve the quality of life for ourselves and our family. Or it could be wanting to become a better citizen and pay it forward in our community. A vision allows us to determine what we want to be when we grow up and how we choose to be remembered. Now, the U stands for understanding. Change is not a problem that can be fixed or solved, but it can be understood. To understand anything, we need to ask questions, a lot of questions. But our first instinct is to go to people that we're familiar with, our family and our friends and our coworkers and our colleagues. But they are many times likely to tell us what we want to hear, not what we should hear. So it's important to go out and find people that we may not agree with and get their opinions. For example, I prefer CNN and PBS. Other people prefer Fox and maybe the BBC. We need to listen to some dissenting voices to understand how the rest of the world and how other people think. We need to stand in their shoes and look out and see what the world looks like from their viewpoint. By understanding ourselves, other people, and the world around us a little bit better, change is much less uncertain. The C stands for community. Belonging is a basic and fundamental need of human life. Today, we all belong to the TEDxLehighRiver community. But technology and social networking and the internet connects us to a larger and more global world. Technology has helped shrink the world into one massive community. And each community provides collective wisdom and knowledge. It provides the support and encouragement when we often need it the most. Communities help raise everyone's game. And suddenly, change isn't so scary when we're not in it alone. So where does that leave us? We've got vision plus understanding plus community. We've got the VUC. We need A. And this time, A equals abundance. Change often instills fear and a sense of powerlessness within us. But abundance provides us hope and possibility and opportunity. Abundance is what happens when change begins to work for all of us. Now, for me, abundance means an extended and improved quality of life. We are so privileged to live in a time when we are on the verge of cures for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and cancer and diabetes by simply implanting a single cell into our bloodstream that can turn off the bad genes and turn on the good, as simple as downloading an app onto our smartphone. Nanotechnology is beginning to clean our oceans, rivers, and streams, and even our landfills to ensure that we have clean water to drink. Solar and wind power is already lowering the cost of energy and creating an unlimited supply. And a world-class education is accessible to both the rich and the poor by simply tapping on their screens of a smartphone and a tablet. But change undoubtedly causes pain. Millions of jobs have been eliminated and workers displaced. But abundance provides many millions of new jobs, some that didn't exist just a few years ago, and many more that don't even exist yet. The beauty of abundance is that it means so many things to so many different people. And collectively, it raises the quality of life for all of us and makes change work for everyone. In the few minutes that I've been speaking, the world has changed. We have changed. I have changed. It's important that we understand how quickly change is occurring. McKinsey & Company their research recently suggests that change is happening 10 times faster and 300 times the scale than it did just a century ago. It took 75 years for 50 million people to use the telephone, but it only took 5 years for 50 million people to use the internet. And just a few weeks ago, 50 million people were using Pokemon Go in under 7 days. We will all experience an unprecedented amount of change as long as we live. But when we have a template and a game plan for change, we have a means to make it work for us. So define your vision, seek to understand, embrace your community, because abundance awaits. The future awaits. It is worth living, worth managing, and certainly worth enjoying. So press play and begin to make change work for you. Thank you.